So, political news management. So politicians can use the media to create the impression that normal common sense is with them. So it's good news management for a politician never to be seen being heckled.
I asked the Prime Minister, why won't you call an early election?
I mean, unless they've got some zinger.
The answer is, Mike, because I want to do you slowly.
But generally, they try to avoid being heckled. They prefer to be filmed being applauded where that's possible. So it looks like normal people cheer the politician, and it's only weirdos who do heckling. And some leaders do this by waving to the cameras, even if there are no crowds present, right? So there's you might climb the steps of your head of government jet aircraft and turn at the top before you go in and wave. Who are you waving at? You wave as if you're waving at admiring crowds. There may only be a handful of media there. How else do they manage the news? Well, a lot of effort goes into pre-persuasion. So that means establishing the common background assumptions and setting the agenda. So lots and lots of effort goes into deciding what we talk about, which brings me to one of the central principles of propaganda, which is the media cannot tell us what to think, right? The media cannot tell you what to think, but they can decide what you think about, right? Once you've decided what we're all thinking about, then it becomes easier to sort of shape the agenda and shape the assumptions that will eventually result in the desired outcome being common sense. So what do news managers do? They can refuse access to uncooperative journalists. They can issue spoilers, such as preemptive leaks. So, for example, the rumour of a smear that allows a politician to claim their moral high ground whilst ensuring that the dirt on an opponent stays in the public eye. You get secret briefings, unattributed briefings against anybody who's deemed to be unhelpful. So-and-so, yes, I know so-and-so has been feeding you some good stories, but just between us, you should ask yourself why he needs the money. A bit, right? Some of that. Create diversionary stories. So the so-called dead cat, right? Where this is where the idea is you throw a dead cat on the living room table. You can be sure that nobody will be thinking of anything other than there's a dead cat on the table. So even if people look at you a bit like weird because you've done this dead cat fling, it will still ensure that the other thing that you didn't want them to think about has vanished from their minds. Slip bad news out when something else is dominating the headlines. So there was the famous case of on the day of the Twin Towers attacks, some PR manager made the mistake of emailing or texting somebody to say, today would be a good day to bury bad news. Well, she was right. I mean, the only thing she did wrong was get caught, because that's something they do all the time. And persuade by sheer repetition, right? So you just repeat the line, right? Repetition legitimizes.
Repetition legitimizes.
Repetition legitimizes. What does all this tell us in the end? It tells us that no large-scale conspiracy is required to distort and control the news media and to limit the things that we find out about as consumers of news media, right? All that news managers have to do is manipulate the rational self-interest of media owners and producers, right? It's already established because media owners and producers want to keep revenue up and costs down. They don't want the expense of doing their own research and maintaining embedded journalists in all the places around the world that they would have to in order to know what's really going on. They would much prefer if people brought content to them. So all you have to do is provide them with the content they want in the required language in a convenient package. And where's the proof? Well, Noam Chomsky, Jacques Ellul, and Edward Said are all on the syllabus, right? These are people who developed the so-called propaganda model, who started to explain all this. Michael Moore wins an award for making films about all this stuff, and yet the engineering of consent goes on. So it doesn't need a conspiracy. It just needs people to be following their rational self-interest.